Welcome back, guys. Welcome back to the Oreo Express. Josh here. Happy Tuesday, April 8th. Happy Tuesday, April 8th. Karen, are you in the house? Is Karen in here? Thank you so much for the Venmo. Appreciate you, Karen, more than you know. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Uh, Karen is in the house. Welcome back. Hope you're all having a good Tuesday today. We got a lot to talk about on show number one. Who do we have in here? We have Hunter was first. Trina's in the house. Karen Sunflower. Pixie. Crispy. Rob Wallace. Microtaz. Deb V. Kimber. Caden, Texas. Let's see. Pixie's in the house. That means $5 for every cuss word in the cuss jar. And looks like Texas Real Woman 2022's in the house as well. Jan Garner's in the house. Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. So it's Tuesday. It's going to be a warm one here in the Central Valley. Or not too warm. Not too warm. It isn't that bad. Let me look here. What it is. Probably like 80. Let's see. No, only 77. Beautiful day. Beautiful day. 81 tomorrow, 84 on Thursday. You got to love this weather, man. I'm telling you, you just got to absolutely love this weather. It's that time of the year. Like I told you guys yesterday, I spent like maybe 6 hours in the backyard making sure all the weeding it again, edging, cleaning the sidewalk, cleaning the cement, all the fun stuff we got to do for spring. And I'll have to do it all over again in about 3 weeks because it'll sprinkle and the weeds just love this weather. And I don't use weed killer because the little guy, man, it doesn't matter where you go. His hands are in it. He's got his dump truck. He's digging it and he's putting his hands in his mouth. But last night we ended up going to the city of Clovis council meeting, my city council meeting. Interesting meeting. We have 2.5 people on our city council that's moderate at best. They claim to be conservatives. They don't do the conservative things and a couple of them just bash the hell out of one city council member that is, putting her city first, putting everything first. But it was interesting last night. They're supposed to vote on a contract extension. And boy, it got all blown up and they postponed it and not going to do this extension. They decided once all the questions were asked and the right people asked questions, it was going to cost us residents $1.2 million more over 3 years. And it was just insane. So it was good to be there, though. Good to be there. See, what else do we got today? Let's get started with some wokeness. John Carroll University in Ohio, so if you're in Ohio, hosted a period fair, guys, a period fair, where their Center for Student Diversity and Inclusion and LGBTQP clubs claimed that periods are not just for women and that they are not just women issues. Now, they're not just women issues. Guys got to deal with them too, right? Woo, you don't like that time of month. But no, men cannot have periods. This is the stuff I'm talking about that is beyond insanity. And for a college to do this is the post here. Take a look. It says, thank you to JC_well for hosting another successful period fair last week. CSDI and the LGBTQPIA plus Allies Club were glad to be able to share information about period-related gender dysphoria and period poverty with all who stopped by our table. We want to share those resources for anyone who is interested in learning more. It says having a period is a biological function and not a women's issue. This is kind of one of those things where you're like, there's people in this group, and again, we told you the old school LGBT groups, the ones that I grew up with, the 90s, even early 2000s, just normal folks. They just wanted to go on, live their life. I wanted to go on, live my life. There was no worship my flag, worship what I do in my bedroom. It was just like we're all just people. Let's move along. You work, whether you're at work, whether you're at school. It was like, and this group got hijacked, and I feel so bad. I feel so bad for the people that just want to go on and live their lives. Like I couldn't imagine being in a group. I mean, and in all honesty, you don't need a group. I get it. You want to identify with people that you align with. I mean, we all do that. But to think now, if you're like, oh no, if you're gay, lesbian, and you're like, I'm not with the trans thing. Like I'm not with mutilating little children. You're ostracized. You're out. You're a Nazi now. And it's just crazy. And if you read this down here, it says, for some trans and non-binary people, experiencing a period can cause gender dysphoria. Period messaging often only focuses on women. So for a gender non-conforming or trans person, menstruating each month can be very hard. This is just not exclusive to bleeding, but also other symptoms of menstruation, such as the swelling of your breast. Some non-binary or trans people use binders to minimize the appearance of their breast. And when the breasts swell during the menstruation, a binder may not fit anymore, or it may be uncomfortable than usual. It is important to remember to be inclusive of all identities when talking about menstruation. This is crazy. This is John Carroll University. And that school receives federal funding. Hopefully not no more. Cut that funding. Get this out, guys. Get this out. This is insane. We don't need to be doing this to people. I mean, it's like a bad Saturday Night Live skit. Speaking of craziness, we covered this a couple weeks ago. Our equity speed cameras go live. Take a look at this, and we talk about it.
Guys, up to half off. The city of San Francisco is launching a new speed safety pilot program backed by Democratic California Newsom, where how much you pay for a speeding ticket depends on who you are, and it's all in the name of equity. On its website, the City Transportation Authority goes out of its way to explain that speed safety cameras will be dispersed across San Francisco in a, quote, equitable fashion. But not everyone will have to pay the same if they get a ticket. Get this. Low-income offenders qualify for steep fine discounts, guys, up to half off. And if you're homeless but speeding in your vehicle, you can get up to 80% discount. Jerry, here's just one of the many problems I have with this. The reason for this program, for the speed cameras, was reportedly because of high injury areas, meaning where pedestrians have been hit and killed. So since all lives are equal, why are we giving discounts on speeding tickets when everyone should understand how serious it is to drive safely where people have died?
I couldn't believe this when I read this. I was like, is this really true? We are all equal in the eyes of the law. Oh, no, we're not. We're not all equal in the eyes of the law. Okay, so might this get extended eventually? So maybe if I commit a burglary and I don't have a lot of money, maybe that's okay. Or maybe I get a reduced sentence, or I just don't understand the logic operating here. I think we should all be equal in the eyes of the law, and everybody should pay the same fine, serve the same sentence.
Liberty and justice for all. I know a lot of people in San Francisco don't pledge allegiance to our flag, Old Glory. But I think what she said there is very true. And we've seen these Democrats that call themselves socialists like AOC kind of hint to that. Well, they're looting Nike because they need to feed their family. So it's okay that they're stealing, they're robbing, they're looting, they're burning down stores during riots. It's okay. Well, again, in San Francisco, and we covered this extensively probably about 2-3 weeks ago when it dropped. Just absolutely insane. But when it dropped, it didn't have the homeless caveat. It just had low income was 50% off. So if your fee was 100 and you were low income, it's now 50. But now, I guess if you're homeless and you want to break the law, it's a lot less. A lot less. Right? Man, it's not even an experiment no more. It's just a failure. It's just a failure what the woke left has done and how they continue to do it. Put the comments back on. This thing keeps popping off. Let's hit live. I don't know why it does this on my phone. There we go. Pixie, Nola, Trina in the house. Yeah, everybody's going to identify as homeless. And they're saying, well, you got a $1.2 million mansion. I identify as homeless. You don't want to be a bigot, do you? Are you a bigot? That's how it's going to go. California signals possible defiance of Trump anti-DEI orders that threaten school funding. Well, we told you, and I told you in all this, I said California will push harder than any other state against this. You got to understand, when you're dealing with the Democrats we have in California, they will sacrifice every taxpayer in this state. They don't care about you. They don't care about your children's future. They don't care about your children's education. This was an LA Times article. Let me put it up here real quick. It says California education officials have signaled they could defy a Trump administration order intended to end all diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, even as federal officials threaten to cut off billions of dollars per year in federal education funding. The U.S. Department of Education on Thursday had given states 10 days to collect certifications from each school district confirming that all DEI efforts have ended, and warned that failure to comply puts federal funding at risk. The Trump administration argues that DEI programs are a form of race-based discrimination and violate civil rights laws, which they do. In a letter to the school district superintendent Friday, the California Department of Education appeared to question the authority of the federal government to take such actions. All 50 states are under the same order, and New York has directly refused the Trump administration's demand. The state noted that California's 1,000 school districts regularly and routinely affirm that they are complying with federal law and already have submitted such assurances, and compliance is monitored annually through multiple accounting mechanisms, according to the letter which was provided to the Times. The CDE letter is signed by David Shapira, Chief Deputy Superintendent of Public Instruction under State Schools Chief Tony Thurmond. It says the CDE plans to respond to the Education Department on behalf of the state and school districts by the request date, and we will share a copy of our response with you for your information once we have submitted it. Importantly, the letter does not direct school districts, I hate when it does that, to send a certification to the state or federal government or to move to dismantle any programs within the narrow 10-day time frame. The U.S. Department of Education on Monday did not provide a response to the letters sent to California school districts. I'm telling you right now, these people, these Democrats, these people in California, again, they don't care if the schools are shut down. As long as they're, I mean, if the school's shut down, they're like, as long as we pay our unions and our teachers, we're okay. They don't even need to teach kids. We just need your tax dollars to keep them employed. And kind of like what they're doing. Many of them aren't teaching kids anyways. Check this out. Oakland's mayor's chief of staff. Now, we talked about the Oakland mayor extensively. You know, she is facing some pretty stiff jail time. One of those that was ousted in a recall in the last election bid. And she blamed everything on white supremacy, right-wing conspiracy theories, even when the FBI kicked in her front door to her home. But the Oakland mayor's chief of staff fired after referring to black people as tokens. And guess what? Another white liberal. Take a look at her right here. There she is, right here on the left. There she is with the former mayor. And there's the interim mayor right there. Oh, man, they expose themselves every day. We don't have to do much except report on it, right, guys? Let's pull this back up. I'll have to do something about this. This thing's stupid. I just don't know, man. These people that they act like they're, Miss Goody Two Shoes and everything else, and when it's all said and done, everything they accuse the right of is exactly who they are. And that's one thing I've learned through this whole debacle. They call you a racist, they're the racist. They call you a bigot, they're the bigot. Check this out. Megyn Kelly show. So the FBI released the information on the trans terrorist Nashville shooter. And again, when we dealt with the police and we listened to their updates, they were covering up a lot of stuff. But thankfully for Kash Patel, they did release the information. I'm just going to play this quick clip of Megyn Kelly so you can listen to some of
ideology at all of our exclusive reporting on the Nashville school shooters journals, which we broke exclusively this morning on AM Update, which you should check later today after this show. I just want to tell you what happened there. We received an exclusive on the Nashville shooters manifesto from the FBI. We exclusively had permission to report on it, though not to post the documents. And we spent the weekend reviewing the over 1,000 of them. What we concluded, and it's outlined in Morning Update, which is on YouTube and on our podcast feed, is that we were misled by Nashville authorities last week who said, there's not one document called the manifesto, so we're just going to tell you, based on our reading of these 1,000+ documents, what the motives here were. And guess what didn't make the dance? The shooter's trans ideology at all. At all. So we read through the documents, and again, we've been misled. This woman was obsessed with trying to trans herself, wanting to trans herself, trans ideology. I mean, it was like reading a leftist playbook on race, gender, and hatred for America. And now it's becoming really clear why this wasn't shared with us for 2 years. Well, we've seen it, and we don't have the same agenda as the people making those decisions. And thanks to Kash Patel and his transparent efforts at the FBI, we will bring you the full report.
Highlights. And man, hated white people who she's never met, who have lived before her and have died. Hated. It was just. Let me see if I can pull up the. Just a quick text of it. Yeah, it's not going to pull up, but I was just absolutely shocked that we know like the government under Biden lied to us a lot, but you would think a police department would want to get that information out to make the community safer so that they could be proactive and they know what to look for. Because as we said before, if you look a lot of these, a majority of these school shootings over the last 5 years, 6 years, they've been non-binary, transgender, identified, as an elephant. It's all these people with severe mental issues. But the one thing they refuse to tell us is what medications these kids are on. And I think that should be a pressing issue. And I'm hoping the FBI will come out with some reports on that. What were these people taking? Because again, they're going to these doctors. Doctors are just feeding them big pharma. Oh, here, take this, take that. And we are extremely over medicating our children. You know that, I know that, when it's compared to other countries. Actually, stay-at-home moms. I read a thing. I can't remember it. It was actually not bashing it. It was from something that I don't even really trust, but it was a study. I can't remember if it was CDC or the NIH, or they were quoting a study like stay-at-home moms and the rate that they're on antidepressants. And I'm like, holy cow, man, we need to stop taking that stuff. This is some good news. This is from Libs of TikTok. Idaho governor just signed a medical freedom bill which protects citizens from being forced to undergo medical interventions as a condition of employment, education, or daily life. What this is, it prevents, and again, depending on who's in charge at the federal government, they can override it, I'm sure, with a mandate, but it's not, mandates aren't law. It says no mask mandates, no vaccine mandates, never again. As you guys remember, when we went through COVID, it was a time of my life. Now, I've always been a prepper. I've always been prepared for the worst to happen. And I'm not talking about all the like crazy stuff. I'm talking about a major power outage for a community because something bad happens. Let me turn that down. And where you gotta, you might have weeks without power. It's happened. It happens places like major storms. And so I've always been prepared, but I also knew I never thought that like I would go walk into a place like when we were in San Francisco and without a vaccine card, I couldn't get food. I couldn't eat. I couldn't walk into a grocery store to buy food because I didn't get an experimental jab that the government wanted me to get that turned out didn't prevent anything. Actually, the only thing it caused was side effects, serious and severe side effects, which millions of Americans are still dealing with today. Speaking of that, it's kind of segues into the next one. New Cleveland Clinic study finds that the flu vaccine did not prevent influenza. I know you're all shocked. I'll give you guys a minute to catch your breath because I'll read it one more time. The flu vaccine did not prevent influenza. It says, in fact, those who got the vax were more likely to get infected. Now, again, this is from the Cleveland Clinic. I'm not a doctor. You talk to your own doctor. You make your own decisions. It says, here is this little chart that they supplied. As you can see, the red is not vaccinated and the blue is vaccinated. And this is how many days since October 1st, 2024. And if you look at it, looks like the vaccinated are getting the flu, the influenza more than the unvaccinated. And it says results among 53,402 employees, 43,857 had received the influenza vaccine by the end of the study. Influenza occurred in 1,079, which was 2% during the study. The cumulative incidence of influenza was similar for the vaccinated and unvaccinated states early. But over the course of the study, the cumulative incidence of influenza increased more rapidly among the vaccinated than the unvaccinated. In an analysis of adjusted for age, sex, clinical nursing jobs, and employment location, the risk of influenza was significantly higher for the vaccinated compared to the unvaccinated. Says, conclusion, the study found that influenza vaccinations of working aged adult was associated with a higher risk of influenza during the 2024-2025 respiratory season, suggesting that the vaccine has not been effective in preventing influenza this season. Now, you're probably not going to hear this on CNN because I'm sure that influenza vaccine manufacturer probably pays for their airtime. But I haven't got, I told people this all the time. I used to get the flu vaccine. You want the flu shot? Sure, why not? And I haven't got it in years. I haven't got the flu in years either. But I can say a lot of times that I got the flu shot and I ended up getting the flu, and I went to the doctor like, something's wrong with me. It can't be the flu. I'm vaccinated for the flu. Oh, it's a different strand. You know, the flu shots come out early. They try to predict what strains are going to be there. And I don't know. I mean, again, talk to your doctors. Again, I'm not going to be one to get it. Instead of asking me at my doctor, they say, no shots, right? And I say, no shots. So there's some breaking information that got out about the second person who tried to assassinate President Trump. And this is absolutely amazing, is that Ryan Ruth, the person that was outside the golf course that stayed for like 12, 14 hours waiting for Trump to go play golf, actually was trying to get grenade launchers, RPGs, from Ukraine. And it sounds like, listen, this is, take a look at this. August 2024, attempted to purchase an anti-aircraft weapon. Like, okay, that you don't just get away with trying to purchase an anti-aircraft weapon. It says, fourth, this court should admit Ralph's August 2024 attempt to acquire anti-aircraft weapons as direct evidence of his assassination attempt. That month, Ralph sought to purchase the devices online from an associate Ralph believed to be a Ukrainian with access to military weapons. And then it says, the evidence described here from encrypted signal messages on Ralph phones. Two began discussing Ralph's purchase of a weapon in August. To that end, Ralph told his associate, send me an RPG, which is a rocket propelled grenade, or a Stinger, and I will see what we can do. Trump is not good for Ukraine, which led the two to discuss Ralph's purchasing options, with Ralph asking about the price of whether his associate could ship it to me. Before then explaining his intent, I need equipment so that Trump cannot get elected. The two then exchanged messages about price and logistics, including Ralph writing, going to the local store for such an item is impossible. However, you are at war. Those items are lost and destroyed daily. One missing would not be noticed. Do you think Trump will be good for Ukraine? So this guy's over there contacting Ukraine, trying to get RPG to either shoot, at the time, Trump Force One out of the air, to shoot it inside Mar-a-Lago. I don't know. This dude was dead set. He had been to Ukraine many of times. He said he was going to go fight for Ukraine. And here he is contacting what appears to be people possibly inside the Ukrainian government. And if the person wasn't inside the Ukrainian government knew about this and didn't, as far as we know, tell FBI, CIA, the president, or anything else. That is some insane stuff. Man. When you got people, again, trying to take out the, now president, it's just nuts. Don't forget, guys, let me pull this up right here. We have our raffle going on. It's the beginning of the month. We're trying to get some bills paid. We are extremely behind. We're at like 20% right now. We got 80% to go. So we have a raffle going on. And it says, it's got a couple different things. Let me show you what it is, and I'll show you how to get involved in it. We got the Donald Trump Lives Here stamp for your dollar bills. So you can put that on there and go pay every time. Keep it on you. So if you forget to stamp the bill, you can stamp it while you're at some place that there's a bunch of liberals working out, and you can give them a little trigger warning. We got the Keep America Great Trump Hair koozie. I love the hair on that thing. I got to get those for Caden. He would love it. For some reason, the kid's in love with koozies. The sign, this is a 12 by 8-inch sign that says, "Notice, this place is politically incorrect. We say Merry Christmas, one nation under God. We salute our flag and give thanks to our troops. If this offends you, leave." And "We the people have had enough" sticker on there. So check that out. If you guys want to enter, we appreciate it. Every $10 donation gets you entered one time. So if you do a $30 donation, you get 3 entries. And the way to do that is Venmo at Oreo Josh, Cash App $Oreo Army, givesendgo.com/Oreo 2024. And we also have a Zelle link. If you go to our website, theoreoexpress.com, you'll have to, it's for those who want to do the transfer from their bank. They no longer have an app. Zelle doesn't. It's through your bank transfers. And if you go to our website, theoreoexpress.com, there's a link on there, and you can go ahead and donate there. I want to say thank you to all those who have helped out, who have entered so far, and who keep us going. We appreciate you. Let's move on now. Where are we at? Moving along. Okay, here we go. Let's listen to the lies of the left. So I just want you to know I've been shopping twice this week. So I know the prices of things. And Elizabeth Warren, so before prices go even higher, I just want to quote that, even higher, meaning your grocery prices are up like 36% because of Biden. But now she's saying, listen to this, before prices even go even higher and millions of working people lose their jobs, Congress must stop this tariff chaos. I'm pushing a bipartisan resolution with Ron Wyden to end Donald Trump's worldwide trade war. It's an immediate response that forces a simple majority vote. I'm glad she says before prices go even higher, meaning when Donald Trump got into office, things were just crazy. But we got a lot of that going on. People panicking over the stock market. I love this right here.
I'm just concerned about Main Street and getting these jobs back,
Okay, let's talk
sir.
about Main Street, Mr. Greer. Have we seen one of the worst drops in the stock market in over 35 years?
We've certainly seen volatility.
Have we seen one of the worst drops in the stock market in over 35 years?
I think, and Senator
can't say
Warner
yes?
talked about
We'll move
this.
on. If you don't want,
well, I know everyone's concerned about Wall Street, and I'm just concerned about Main Street and getting these jobs
let's
back.
talk.
sir.
I know everyone's concerned about Wall Street. You know, all these Democrats that want to tax the rich. It's the rich who's losing right now, guys. I promise none of you are losing millions or billions of dollars. And it's only temporary. And again, it's because mainstream media and Democrats are working against Trump instead of saying, hey, this guy has an idea. Joe Biden screwed us all over. Let's see how it works. Well, it's starting to work. And that's a promise. Listen to this right here. And I think this has a big part to do with it.
Because if there's a $4.5 trillion, look, I've been urging my colleagues in the House to move on this bill as quickly as possible for a lot of reasons. Yeah. One is to get the economy booming. There is a lot of pent up, and you probably talk to people like I do that say there's trillions of dollars sitting on the sidelines waiting to see if there's going to be tax certainty. Because if there's a $4.5 trillion tax hike, meaning if Congress does nothing, that's the kind of taxes that go up on every American. Nobody would be immune from it, and it would crush the economy. Yeah. So we need to get this tax bill in place to give not only certainty to the economy, but to bring that investment back in and get real economic growth.
And that people aren't talking about that $4.5 trillion tax hike coming because Trump's tax cuts from when he was elected the first time are set to expire. That affects all of us. That's why Trump wants to get this passed, get no taxes on tips, no taxes on Social Security, and no taxes on overtime. Democrats don't want any of those things to pass. And even though Kamala tried to steal the no tax on tips down in Las Vegas when she was running for president because her team couldn't come up with anything original that Americans would actually get behind other than murdering babies. And it was only her extreme left side of the party that was focused on voting for her to murder babies. Check out what Trump posted here. This is great. It says, this is one of his posts from early this morning. It said, I just had a great call with the acting president of South Korea. We talked about their tremendous and unsustainable surplus, tariffs, shipbuilding, large-scale purchase of U.S. LNG, their joint venture in Alaska pipeline, and payment for the big-time military protection we provide South Korea. They began these military payments during my first term, billions of dollars. But sleepy Joe Biden, for reasons unknown, terminated the deal. That was a shocker to all. In any event, we have the confines and the probability of a great deal for both countries. Their top team is on a plane heading to the U.S., and things are looking good. We are likewise dealing with many other countries, all of whom want to make a deal with the United States. Like with South Korea, we are bringing up other subjects that are not covered by trades and tariffs and getting them to negotiate it also. One-stop shopping is a beautiful and efficient process. China also wants to make a deal badly, but they don't know how to get it started. We are waiting for their call. It will happen. God bless the USA. So again, I was listening to a Democrat say, this isn't how you do this. This isn't how you just do this. You go one country at a time and you negotiate and you do all this. Let me tell you, what Trump did was, and it was beautiful. If Trump had 2 terms, if Trump had 8 years and he went each one by one, that would take months and months to come to a deal, we would never have gotten anywhere. You might have 5 agreements by the end of 8 years. Now you put tariffs on all of them and say, hey, these are reciprocal tariffs. This is what we want. We need to bring manufacturing back. We need to fix this trade deficit. And all of a sudden they're like, oh, we got to do something. It's incredible what we are seeing right now. And again, just excuse me, just more and more winning. And you're going to see this. And again, South Korea, they have their team on a plane heading to the U.S. as we speak. We will give you an update on China tariffs because those just got bumped up. It says Trump will be slapping a 104% tariff on China tonight per the White House. Remember, he said, we're going to put tariffs on. If you retaliate, we're going to retaliate twice as hard. And so that's what he's doing. And again, you see China's stock market in a free fall, what they consider a stock market in a free fall. So they're over there. They don't want to lose wealth. They don't want to lose everything they have. They're going to be willing to talk. And they're going to, if they look at it on paper, there is a huge trade deficit. And there's barriers where we can't sell our products in some of these countries. Those barriers need to be removed. Somebody said, Australia don't have any tariffs on the United States, but we put tariffs. Trump also said barriers. Can we sell our beef there? Those people in Wisconsin and everywhere where those great cows are raised, those farmers can't sell to Australia. Those are things Trump wants changed. So this will be interesting to see how China reacts again. They might play hardball again, communist country. We'll have to find out. Today at 3 p.m., that is in, 49 minutes, 3 p.m. Eastern, President Trump will sign an executive order to reinvigorate affordable, reliable, and clean coal. Coal is critical to achieving American energy and AI dominance. So that's good news. That's good news. Again, another promise made, promise kept. Democrats will fight this as well. Democrats will fight this as well. Check CNN out. This is hilarious. If you need something to laugh at and you're like, wow, I feel bad for the libtards watching CNN, you better have felt bad for them this morning. I think it was this morning.
Since Harry S. Truman But I think there was this concern among some folks that Donald Trump would come in for a second term and kind of be a lame duck. He ain't no lame duck. If anything, he's a soaring eagle. What am I talking about here? Let's talk about Trump executive orders in 2025. He's already signed 111 so far. That is the most at this point in a presidency in at least 100 years. In fact, it's the most in any single year, and we're only in April, since Harry S. Truman in the early 1950s. The bottom line is whether you like Trump or you don't like him, you can't say that he's come in and not try to deliver on what he at least believes was his promises on the campaign trail, and he's doing so in historic fashion.
How are people reacting to and feel about Trump's approach?
Yeah, okay. So Trump's approach here, what are we talking about? Trump's approach to presidential power. I think the American people recognize what he's doing here is completely different. We're talking, get this, 86% of the American public believes that Trump's approach to presidential power is completely different from past presidents, compared to only 14% who believe it is in line with precedent. And we're talking about at least 79% of Democrats, independents, and Republicans. So again, you can agree or you can disagree with Donald Trump. But what you can't disagree with is that he's doing things very differently. I have used the Frank Sinatra quote before. He is doing it, quote unquote, my way. And that is what Donald Trump has done throughout both of his presidential terms. And he's certainly doing that, Kate Baldwin, in term number 2.
So completely differently, clearly they agree, but is it, take it a step further, do the people think he has too much, he's taken too much power?
Yeah, this I think is the real question, right? You can believe that he's doing stuff completely differently, but do you think that he has a little too much power or not? And this is interesting. So Trump's presidential power is too much, the right amount, too little. Well, 47% say too much, but then you get 36% who say the right amount. Then you get 17% who say too little. So you're essentially dealing with a majority of the American public, 53%, who do not say that Trump has too much power. They either says he has too little power or the right amount of power. So the idea, that argument that Donald Trump is, quote unquote, a king, that I don't think holds with the American people. It does hold maybe with 47%, but with the majority of folks, they believe Donald Trump's doing something completely differently, and they don't believe he has too much power. And the executive orders he signed certainly suggest he's no lame duck. He is, as I said at the beginning, a soaring eagle.
Watching that, man, it's just epic. The polling, even with these left-leaning polls, CNN and these other polls, the people they go out to, everything is in Trump's favor. I know Democrats are panicking, and they got all their senior citizens out to these protests over the last couple weeks. It's not working, folks. People are actually looking at what Trump's doing, saying he said he was going to do this, 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 and this. I mean, today he's signing an executive order on coal. That is what he said he would do. He hasn't lied about anything. He's following through on his promises, and there's been some big wins, and we're going to go through those wins right now. Some great wins. This is one of them from ABC. The Supreme Court said the Trump administration can move forward with the termination of 16,000 probationary federal workers across 6 agencies and departments, rescinding a lower court order. Told you, it goes to the Supreme Court. It's going to go in Trump's favor. He has the right. He's the executive of the country. Here was that right here. It says the application for stay presented to Justice Kagan and by her referred to the court is granted. It says the March 13th, 2025. I mean, think about it. That was March 13th, almost a month ago. Entered by the United States District Court for the Northern District of California is stayed. I think we've even got CNN having to talk about this too. Let's take a look at this.
We start, though, with breaking news at the Supreme Court. It just handed President Trump another win, allowing his administration to fire hundreds of probationary federal workers. I want to get straight to Paula Reed, who was looking through the decision. Paula, what did they say?
So, Dana, this is a significant win for the administration. The fourth one that they have notched from the Supreme Court in just the past few days. Here, this decision is focused on thousands of fired probationary federal workers. Now, this decision will allow the government to keep those individuals off the payroll while the larger questions about these firings are litigated. Now, this was decided not on a constitutional issue or really on the merits. It was decided on something called standing, which is whether the individuals who brought this lawsuit had the right to do so. And here the court says that the 9 nonprofit organizations did not have standing in this case. So again, this is sort of a technical win, but it is still a win for the administration, though it's unclear how this will.
NGOs, nonprofits, were the ones, the 9 nonprofits, I'm going to back that up, did not have standing in the case. Again, these nonprofits, they're worried about USAID. They're worried about these, especially when they're connected with unions and they work hand in hand with unions. And when 16,000 employees are let go, how much money's out of the union's pocket? Because the union doesn't care about you, doesn't care about me. It cares about the money. Take a listen.
It had the right to do so. And here the court says that the 9 nonprofit organizations did not have standing in this case. So again, this is sort of a technical win, but it is still a win for the administration, though it's unclear how this will apply to all fired probationary workers, because a separate judge in Maryland earlier this month ordered a pause and a reinstatement of some employees that are not covered by this case. But I do want to say, Dana, the Justice Department, the Trump administration, they've been waiting for a while for good news from the courts after a string of losses, and they have been getting a lot of good news from the high court over the past few days.
So again, we're going to take them where we can get them. And then another one came through last night when I was at the Clovis City Council meeting. Another one that came through was Supreme Court sides with the Trump administration. Venezuelan deportation under the Alien Enemies Act can continue. Remember, we had a rogue activist judge that said Trump couldn't deport these gang members, and which are terrorists, couldn't deport them under the Alien Enemies Act. And it says this matter concerns the detention and removal of Venezuelan nationals believed to be members of TDA, an entity that the State Department has designated as a foreign terrorist organization. And the Supreme Court ruled in Trump's favor that they can continue with this. They can continue. So that activist judge was really, really bothered last night. This was CNN's headline. Says the Supreme Court has allowed President Trump to enforce the Alien Enemies Act for rapid, I repeat, rapid deportations for now, handling the White House a significant victory. So again, I told you a lot of these things are to delay, to cause chaos, to take up your news feed, because then the only people that are talking about it on these news things are the Democrats saying, oh, this is so unethical. They didn't have due process. They didn't have this. Well, you know, they're a terrorist organization. They don't get that. They get deported. So too bad. So sad. So yesterday, earlier this week, not too far from here, a couple hour drive, they were searching for a child, went missing. And then it turned out that they found the child's body. He was last seen with his soccer coach. Pretty sad. They've now arrested the soccer coach for this little 13-year-old's murder. And Bill Malugan posted this. It says, per multiple law enforcement sources, the Los Angeles area youth soccer coach charged yesterday with murdering one of his players, a 13-year-old boy, is an illegal alien from El Salvador. 43-year-old Mario Eduardo Garcia Aquino has been charged with murder with a special circumstance allegation of murdering during the commission of lewd acts with a child, making him eligible for the death penalty. Police say the 13-year-old Oscar Omar Hernandez went up to Lancaster to visit Garcia Aquino, his coach, at his home on March 28th. Police believe Garcia Aquino killed him that same day. Hernandez's family reported him missing 2 days later, and on April 2nd, his body was found off the side of the road in Oxnard, California. The LA County DA is also charging Garcia Aquino with the alleged sexual assault of another teen boy, age 16, in February 2024. Let's see if he's updated this, his immigration history. Like, when did he come? Let's see. No, there isn't an update that shows how long he's been in the country, or if he had deportation orders or anything like that. But again, another illegal alien, another murder, this time of a 13-year-old young boy who was going to a soccer coach's house. Not good, guys. Not good. But Democrats won't say his name. Democrats won't talk about this. What'd that liberal at Tesla tell me? Well, American citizens commit murder. You can't make this stuff up. Check this out. ICE in Oklahoma just arrested a Mexican national. This is Carlos Ambris, who is in our country illegally and was previously deported. He was convicted of murdering his own child. This is what those protests are about. When you see Mexican flags, they want to keep people like this in the country. They don't support deporting people that killed their own children. And this is the disgusting thing that Chuck Schumer and these judges want to keep in our country too. They are not trying to make your community more safe. They're not trying to make it safe for your children to play in the streets. No, if they were, they would say, hey, we stand with Trump. These people are here illegally. They came in, they broke our immigration laws. Let's deport them. That's not happening. Check this out. So you know the CBP1 app. I believe we were in Juarez, Mexico, or El Paso, Texas, the day that the Biden administration said they were going to do an app to fast pass illegals to get them into the country quicker. And that way it would take away some of the independent journalists being able to film the invasion, because now they're going through the port of entries. They're flying them in. Well, the U.S. Department of Homeland Security issued a notice to all those people on that app that were approved under that app through Biden. We know there was not vetting done. We know that we don't know who's here, how they're here. We don't know anything about them. And this is it. It says 4/6/2025, notice of termination of parole. It is time for you to leave the United States. You are currently here because the Department of Homeland Security, DHS, paroled you into the United States for a limited period, pursuant to 8 USC 1182 D5A and 8 CFR 212.5. DHS is now exercising its discretion to terminate your parole immediately. If you do not depart the United States immediately, you'll be subject to potential law enforcement actions that will result in your removal from the United States, unless you have otherwise obtained a lawful basis to remain here. Any benefits you receive in the United States connected with your parole, such as work authorization, will also terminate. You will be subject to potential criminal prosecution, civil fines, penalties, and other lawful options available to the federal government. DHS encourages you to leave immediately on your own. You can use the CBP One Home mobile app on your phone to make arrangements for your departure. If you are departing the United States via land, you should report your departure once outside the United States via the same app. If you are having trouble reporting your departure via land, visit, and it gives you a website for more information. Again, DHS is terminating your parole. Do not attempt to remain in the United States. The federal government will find you. Please depart the United States immediately. Promises made, promises kept, guys. Promises made, promises kept. It's just absolutely epic. Epic. And again, Democrats have a problem with this too. We have a housing shortage. Let's bring in 20 million illegals and then pay for their housing and complain about the housing shortage and blame it on Republicans. So I thought this was interesting. There was some talk over the last couple of weeks about ICE and federal immigration authorities wanting Internal Revenue Service, the IRS, tax data. And there was some pushback, but it looks like IRS agrees to share tax data with immigration authorities. I think that's good news. And then I seen this. This is from Trump. Check this out. This is from Title 8, Aliens and Nationality, Chapter 12, Immigration and Nationality. It says, let me pull this up where I can see it over here. President Trump plans to fine illegal aliens $998 a day if they stay in the U.S. after they receive a deportation order. They say they will take your belongings, do whatever they have all the authority in the world. And again, when you mess with the government, they'll take your cell phone, they'll take your silverware. Trust me, the government don't play around. But this is a $998 per day if they stay in the U.S. after they receive a deportation order. This is what I'm talking about. And people say, oh, well, a lot of them won't have anything. Anyways, a lot of these people have vehicles. They will take their possessions as well to pay for these fines. And if you think it's not crazy, a lot of these people here illegally are not broke. A lot of these people have a decent amount of money, probably more than some of us. And I'm going to tell you a story of how I know how the government works. When I was 20 years old, I worked in a medical office and I did medical filing and worked in the front office as security as well. When I was doing that, they gave us sent us to class to carry a baton and security card and all this other stuff that they wanted, because they wanted to be technically, if case somebody we did have to beat somebody, that we were licensed to beat them. And about 9 months after I got that, the company shut down. It was actually the owner was committing fraud and was shut down by the state. They came in and raided this medical office. It was insane. And so anyways, like 3 years later, I get this letter from the IRS. And they're like, you owe $27,000. I'm like, $27,000? So I call them, spend all day on the phone, call them, wrote a letter, sent it off, wasn't getting anywhere. Didn't hear back from them. About 6 months later, I go to get gas and my bank card don't work. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? Why isn't my bank card working? And I had 2 bank accounts. So I go to my other bank card, declined. And I'm like, something is wrong here. So I call the bank and I'm like, yeah, I'm over here. I don't know what something's going on. They're like, oh yeah. What'd they call it? Not a hold. Anyways, the government withdrew my money out of the account for taxes I didn't even owe. I sent them a letter. I called them. I explained what was going on. And what they stated was their reason for assuming that I owed $27,000 is because I had the baton license and the guard card, that I was doing private security and I was not reporting that work. Even though I had a regular full-time jobs that every 2 weeks money was being taken out of. I'll be honest, I was effing pissed. It was my introduction. I was 21 years old. It was my introduction to the government and how the government really works. And I was like, man, I think at that time I might have said, I can't believe people don't hunt you down. Like, you just took everything I owned, my food money, everything to take care of myself. And for no reason, I didn't break any laws. So when the government wants to take somebody's possessions, even possessions that you think are hidden, they can get to. Now, yesterday I mentioned a story about an illegal who is undocumented and unafraid that was outside speaking at the White House. Grisa Martinez Rosas. I want you to listen to what she says. And I have a feeling she might be getting deported soon. But just listen, this is right outside the White House. Trump is president. Tom Homan's got his ICE agents all over the place. Listen.
I lead the organization. My name is Grisa Martinez Rosas. I am an immigrant. I am undocumented, queer, and unashamed.
So she brags about being
queer. I am
undocumented,
queer, and unashamed. I lead the organization, the most beautiful organization called United We Dream Action. We are the nation's largest network of immigrant young people fighting for queer rights, immigrant rights, and the rights of everyday working class people.
So United We Dream, again, it runs an NGO. I don't know. It doesn't look like she's starving, so she's probably eating pretty well. And there was just some interesting stuff that happened. Everybody started tagging Tom Homan, sending in requests to have her deported. And this was from I Meme Zero. I mean, therefore I am on X. It says the woman who publicly acknowledged that she's an illegal immigrant during a rally in Washington, D.C. is Grisa Martinez Rosa, a Mexican activist based in Dallas. She is the executive director of United We Dream, an advocacy organization that promotes rights for illegals. Rosas is also a DACA recipient. It says it's retarded that someone like her would continue to support the Democrat Party, which has held power for 12 out of the last 16 years, haven't done anything for them. So here she is. Take a look at this. Here she is sitting. There's Biden. There's Chucky Schumer. And there she is. And then here she is at that day that people were showing their breast and getting naked in front of the White House for the LGBT celebration. And Rapid Response 47, Trump's Rapid Response team, said, and this is why I think something will happen with this one. Hey, Grisa, we have an app for that. We suggest you check out this new CBP Home app to self-deport. And they were responding to to her video that says she's undocumented and unafraid. Literally, I think even there's some people. Now she had an X account, and she's decided to self-deport from X, and I think we all know why. And those are the ones. Let me see. Let me check some out. I want to see if I can see how much she pays herself. United We Dream. What do I got to type to get that? Hold on. See if we can find some. United We Dream. Let me see the 990 form. Wow. You guys aren't going to believe this. This is what illegals do in this country. Oh, man, you guys are going to love this. I'm going to pull it up in a minute. I just want to see. Okay. So the revenue. Let me see if it'll actually pull up the report. View filing, filed on November 13th. Okay. United We Dream. Hold on. Let me see if this is the right one. Yes. Okay. So this is 2023 tax filings. This is, again, if you're an illegal, if you're not a United States citizen, you should not be able to have an NGO. You should not be able to do any. This is what I'm talking about. This is what we need to crack down on. So this was 2023. It says United We Dream Network is a multiracial and multi-ethnic youth-led organization committed to achieving dignity and humanity for all immigrant and people of color by the U.S. by empowering, organizing, nonpartisan civic engagement, and developing our member leadership. Now watch. These are the NGOs we've talked about that get your tax dollars. That woman that's sitting there spitting on the face of American citizens. Watch this. It says contributions and grants. This is your federal money. The 2022, $13 million. In 2023, current year, $22 million. $22 million, folks. Remember when we said, hey, this money's waste, fraud, and abuse? This is what Doge is catching right now. This is one of those. Now, let me go through this paperwork with you. Let's see. There's her name, signature of officer, Grisa Martinez Rosas, the executive director. Let's see. Let's go down there. Let's go through some of the expenses. Community communications and program support, $2.5 million is what they spent. Community organizing, almost $1 million. Let's see, what's this one? Nonpartisan civic engagement aims to organize and educate various communities, promote nonpartisan civic engagement. Now, when we say these are not grassroots, so this group is one of those groups when you see a protest and everybody has the matching signs, these are the groups that do it. These are the groups that Soros helped fund as well. So when you see everybody that says undocumented and unafraid and they have these pallets of signs, that's what that expense is right there. And civic engagement, nonpartisan civic engagement's what they label it as. Now let's see. We can go down a little more. So she gets paid of your tax dollars. Take a look at this. Ji-Yoon Suzan Lee, managing director and CFO, works approximately 39 hours a week. And let's see, is compensated $147,000 and another $17,000. So $164,000 a year. This is all stuff from the government. I'm not making up these numbers. Now the executive director, Grisa, works 37 hours a week. Hers was over $200, $188 plus $18,000. So that would be $96. That'd be $206,000 a year. Check this out. Juanita Monslave, senior marketing and creative director, $160,000 a year. Bruna Bouid, senior political director, that's $130,000. Holiday Burke, senior director of operations, that is about $176,000. And check this out. Astrid Johnson, director of talent, $134,000. Now, I tell you guys all the time, these NGOs are corrupt. You shouldn't be able to be an illegal alien in this country, illegally obtain a tax ID, obtain a nonprofit status or anything. That is crazy. So we're getting frozen. Damn it. Well, that was the end of the show. I don't know how long it's been.